I'd like people to get to know you a little bit more. And the incident I'm referring to in your past that I think the audience would find interesting in terms of getting to know you was Hurricane Katrina. How old were you? You were in New Orleans. You grew up there. How old were you when Katrina hit?
I was 16. I was going into my 11th grade year. No, I was in my 11th grade year already. I was 16 when the storm hit, and I went to school for like 1 week and 2 days, and then Hurricane Katrina hit, then we had to leave. But yeah, I was 16 years old at the time.
How did that change your life?
For me, to be honest, it was a sad thing for all my parents and all that stuff. When we went back to our house and we saw how much water we had in the house, my mom, of course, she cried. We had like 6 to 8 feet of water in our house, and my grandma, she had like 13 or 14 feet of water in her house. So of course they cried, and it's a lot of things that you can't get back. The material things is one thing, but when you get like pictures and all that stuff, that's like my grandma had all her pictures and all that. She lost all that stuff. So of course, they cried. But to be honest, for me, it was the best thing, one of the best things that ever happened to me, because I wouldn't be here talking to you if it wasn't for Hurricane Katrina. Yeah.
Why not?
Because I had just started boxing. I was in the Ninth Ward, and I was at like a house gym basically. It was they had the dude. His name was Harry, like my first coach, and he had like a ring outside, and he had like bags and stuff in the garage, and he wasn't really training me. I just basically trained myself. So after Hurricane Katrina hit, I moved over to. I moved around a bunch of different times, but then I eventually settled in Houston, and I went to a gym called Savannah's Boxing Gym, and at the time,
Evander Holyfield.
You got Holyfield, you got Juan Diaz, you got Rocky Juarez, you got Raul Marquez, Irislan De Lara, the Charlo twins. We actually all grew up together. A dude named Omar Henry. It was just Vinus Motorosian. Laura Riggindale. All these great fighters was just in that same gym. It was a hotbed of just talent. So for me, when they was coming, I think I was like 19 at the time. I'm seeing this and I'm seeing greatness. I mean, I'm training next to Holyfield. Mike Tyson was always my favorite fighter, and Holyfield beat him twice. So to be next to that, to be next to greatness, it just does something to your mind. You're a kid, and it just does something like, I can do it too. If I was still in New Orleans, I didn't have that. So when like I said, Hurricane Katrina, it basically just changed me, and it made me who I am now.
Regis, I ask this to fighters I think are differently talented, and I think you're one of those guys, and you have the potential to be a really, really top fighter, even among the pound-for-pound fighters. You have a chance to be a pound-for-pound elite. When you look at the landscape, who do you see out there and you say, that dude's like me? When the dust settles, I'm going to have to fight that guy. Doesn't have to be at 140. You could look at 147. You could look at 135.
I always looked at Crawford. At 40, when he was at 40, I was still coming up, and I called him out, and then he went up to 147. But I always looked at Crawford. Of course, like Errol Spence, me and him actually fought in the amateurs twice. I kind of don't look behind me as far as like the 35 and the 30 and the 35 pounders. Maybe somebody like Lomachenko, but I just don't see him. I don't see him bringing his power up to 140. But as far as I look to the bigger dudes. Like I said, I always said Crawford and Errol Spence. I think that I'll have Mikey Garcia. And I think
so. You want to go big game hunting. When you say because when I asked that, Crawford and Spence, when the dust settles, looks like the fight at welterweight. If you look at 30, you might look at Lomachenko and Tank Davis. If Tank Davis can keep winning, maybe that's the kind of fight. But when you look at 140, your answer really means I don't see that guy at 35 who's going to move up. I don't see that special fighter at 140. In order for you, you're saying, to find that super fight, you're looking up at the winner of a Spence Crawford fight.
Exactly. If somebody is around that, it'd probably be like Mikey Garcia. Because, he was at 47 now. They saying he might go back down to 140, but either, you know, he'll probably be the closest one to like the 140, but for me, I'm looking up, you know, like I said, I always look, you know, to Terence Crawford. I see him all the time at all the fights now, and I always tell him, you know, we gonna fight. You know, we eventually, you know, I definitely still want to take care of all my business at 140. I want to get all the belts, and then when I'm done with that, then it's up to 147 or Pacquiao. Of course,
let me tell you something. Yeah, Pacquiao, you get paid and everything. I want boxing fans and casual fans to pay attention. When I ask an up-and-coming fighter who they want to fight, and they look up at the division ahead of them and say Terence Crawford or Errol Spence, that's exactly the kind of answer boxing fans are looking for, and it says a lot about you, Regis Prograis. Pleasure watching you fight. Interested to see how you develop. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Max. Thanks for having me, man. Make sure you tune in. I'm gonna keep, like I said, I'm gonna keep winning. I'm gonna keep improving. You're gonna see.